Welcome to the Pickleball Innovators Podcast, which shines a spotlight on the movers and shakers in the fast-growing pickleball club space. Today, we're joined by Seymour Rifkind, founder and president of the World Pickleball Federation and the International Pickleball Teaching Professional Association, as well as the founder of the Pickleball Hall of Fame. Seymour brings a truly global perspective to the conversation, and in this episode, we explore the international expansion of pickleball, what's happening across Asia and beyond, and when the sport could realistically make its Olympic debut. Let's dive in.
You're a great resource, and so would just love to kind of pick your brain on some of the high-level aspects of the pickleball industry, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Ask away. I can give you my opinions on stuff. Happy to share.
Well, opinions are welcome. And then
Yeah.
you also are the founder of the International Pickleball Teaching Professional Association as well,
Yeah, I'm
right?
the founder of that. I'm the founder of World Pickleball Federation, which is the international governing body of pickleball, and also was the founder of the Pickleball Hall of Fame.
Well, I guess to start, just give me kind of your perspective on the industry and how it's grown over the last probably 4 or 5 years in particular. What are your just kind of high-level thoughts on the industry?
This has been no surprise to me. 14 years ago, I gathered all the top players in the world, and my initial reason for getting them all together was to start IPTPA because we did not have a teaching organization. And, there was resistance initially. People, what do we need teachers for? Everybody just goes and plays. I said, oh my God, you guys just don't see the bigger picture. And they said, well, explain it to us, Riff. So I shared my view, and I said back then that pickleball would be the most popular sport in the world. I compared it to soccer, which is the most popular sport in the world. And I said, how many 65-year-old people do you see running around playing soccer? It's inexpensive. It's a game for all. It's easy to play. Guess what? Pickleball is all those things plus, right?
Yeah.
It's for every single demographic, and you don't stop when you're 25 years old. You can play when you're 75. So my long time dream is for us to be in the Olympics, and everything I've done for the past 14, 15 years are baby steps to try to get there. So yeah, I'm not a bit surprised about the growth of the game. I realize that so many people in the United States are just US centric and they've not traveled. They don't know what the rest of the world looks like. And I give kudos to all the people that grew the game here in the United States, but it's not US centric anymore. This is a global game. The fastest growing country in the world right now with pickleball is Vietnam. Second is Malaysia. So you take a look at Southeast Asia and then you add in India with 1.5 billion people and China with 1.5 billion people. And it's no surprise that within the next couple of years, in my opinion, there'll be more players coming out of Asia and the best players will be coming out of Asia. So yeah, the game is certainly global. Like any young industry that is growing very quickly, where there's a lot of money that's getting poured into it, there's growing pains. And those growing pains come out of typical growing pains where people are trying to find good solutions to grow the game with good governance and that. And then there's also greed where there's opportunities to make money. You've got people that are interested first and foremost to make a profit. And sometimes it's at the expense of what's good for the game. So we've seen that. And then we've seen the competitive nature between the different pro tours, which have been going on now for about 5 years. I'm involved almost on a daily basis with a lot of politics with the international federations. So, yeah, I mean, these are things that I knew would come about because the game grew so fast and so much money came into it from a lot of celebrities that, I don't think people realize people like me that are grinders. We just work every single day to grow the game and create infrastructure and everything. We've done a lot, but somebody like LeBron James says that he's going to own a pickleball team, and all of a sudden people go, "What? What's pickleball?" I mean, literally, there was over 1 billion hits in social media when LeBron James said that. So
Yeah.
who does more for pickleball, Seymour Rifkind or LeBron James? There are many that are going to say, well, LeBron James did more in many respects because he is such a high profile individual. I guess there's truth to that, you know, but you can't grow the game with any kind of proper governance and quality programs if you don't have people on the ground that love the game, that are trying to do what's right for the game. And There's quite a few people that have been in that position, and I'm just one of them. But yeah, it's no surprise to me. And like I said, I still think that we are in its infancy. I really do. As much growth as we've seen in the United States, if you take a look at the sport globally, I really do think we're still in its infancy. I think that there's so much more that can be done. I think that the programming, the sports coverage is going to get better and it's going to grow and it'll be more global. When the day comes that we actually get accepted at the International Olympic Committee and the announcement comes that we're going to be in an Olympic, that is going to be a huge moment in the history of pickleball. There'll just be a lot more international sponsors that come into pickleball. The viewership is going to increase dramatically. And as viewership increases dramatically, you've got bigger sponsors, international sponsors that are going to pour a lot of money into pickleball. So quickly, and as much money that has come in, it's going to be looked at as a small little piece of the action once an announcement like that comes about. And I think that's the next major event that will, catapult pickleball into that next stratosphere.
Okay. Any indication as to when that may happen?
Listen, it could happen as early as 2028 still, even though people think that's impossible. I can tell you that that is not impossible. There's been a precedent going back to, I think, about 1980, where a sport was literally accepted into the Olympic Games 14 months before the game started. So it's 2026 right now. 2028 is 2 years away. It's possible. Do I think it's probable? No, I don't. I could tell you that Brisbane, I had a meeting with the gentleman that is responsible for the Brisbane Olympics, and he told me flat out, he said, we want pickleball in.
Okay.
We want pickleball in the Brisbane Olympics. But in order for it to happen, the fastest route for you to get in and to get accepted at the IOC is to go under the International Tennis Federation. And my response to him is, I will not sell our sport for a short-term game and getting in the Olympics. Because if we went under ITF, they intentionally would ruin our sport. Because that's a conflict of interest like I've never seen a conflict of interest. When 30% of their courts are being lost to pickleball, how is it that they're going to actually promote pickleball and lose more tennis courts and lose more revenue?
Well, we talked about some of the industry's challenges. What are some of the biggest opportunities? And this could apply to both the club side of things and just the sport in general.
The two areas that I see the biggest amount of growth are the two areas that are most important to me. The grassroots. The day is going to come very soon where every school in America is going to have pickleball in their program. And it's going to have the, bottom up effect like all the other sports. Pickleball is the only sport that I'm aware of in the United States that began to grow and develop top down. And what I mean by that is all the old people started playing it and they taught it to their kids or their grandkids, and it worked in reverse. Now, the average age of the pickleball player went from 60.5 4 years ago to 30 today. So it got cut in half. Now, you don't get cut in half and say that the average player is 30. It is, but that means you had to have a lot of 15, 18, 20-year-olds playing. So I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for junior play. I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for pickleball to be considered a high school sport. I mean, here in Illinois, we had a state championship last year, but it's still considered a club sport. And that's fine. I interviewed about 50 athletic directors at high schools and at colleges about 7 or 8 years ago. And they all told me the same thing. We're always looking for a new popular sport, but we're not going to bring it in and have it a sanctioned event until we see that there's demand. And I said, well, how do you determine that? Through a club. Well, we've had now, I think, 3 or 4 years of national championships at the collegiate level, and there are several hundred participating colleges at the national championships. So, yeah, the day is going to come where it is going to be an NCAA accredited sport. And it should be. It's one of the few sports where men and women are on the same team. That's a big deal. Men and women are treated equally. That's a big deal with Title IX. Men and women get the same prize money. That's a big deal. So, there's a lot of really good things that pickleball currently possesses that makes it attractive, I think, to explode at the junior level. And we're beginning to see some of that. I mean, you take a look at who our top players in the world are, you're seeing teenagers. I mean, every other week, it seems like there's a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old that beat a top 10 player in singles. All the big names of today, 3 years from now, none of them are going to be around, except maybe Anna Lee. So I think that grassroots and juniors is huge, and that's just beginning to get started. And then on the international front, Asia will take over, no doubt. With 3 billion people between China and India alone, the United States and the Americas cannot compete. And already, the two fastest growing countries for pickleball are Vietnam and Malaysia. So two Southeast Asian countries. And the thing about that is, in my mind, and I said this a long, long time ago, not only will they have the greatest number of players, but they'll have the best players. This is a sport that is a natural fit to them. In the United States, we have maybe football and basketball and baseball. That's what kids are growing up doing. But in Asia, they grow up playing ping pong and badminton and pickleball.
Yeah.
So if you take a look in China, for instance, where I go probably 3 times a year, you take a look at over the last 30 years or more, and over half the Olympic medals in badminton and table tennis were won by the Chinese.
Yeah.
So do you think that they are not going to be the number one players in the world in pickleball, which is a combination of table tennis, badminton, and tennis? Absolutely, they will. And I see how quickly and how fast they improve. In 6 months, I see the same player, and they're like, oh my God, they went from 4-0 to 5-0. But their discipline and focus is significantly different than Western world. For them, this is a life-changing sport. For us, it's a sport that we love and we get addicted to. They have that, plus they see from an economic perspective, it changes their life and that of their family. So they are that much more motivated. And so they go out and they drill every day. I mean, they drill like our pros drill. I mean, they'll go out and drill for 3 or 4 hours. I go to a club and I see the same people there sometimes all day. They'll drill for 3 hours in the morning. They break, they take a little rest and eat lunch at the facility. And then they go back out on the court for another 3 hours. I mean, they're drilling 6 hours a day. These are like 18, 16-year-old kids. They're not going to school. This is their future.
So once we get to the Olympics, watch out for China.
Yeah, then even more so, because then it just kind of legitimizes everything, right? Once you're in an Olympic sport, or once you're even accepted at the International Olympic Committee, and we're governed by pickleball people, I think that's going to be a huge, huge moment.